It was a cool, crisp autumn day when Detective Inspector Roberta Carpenter received the call. A notorious thief known only as the Ghost had pulled off yet another daring heist in the heart of the city, but this time there was a catch. The Ghost had been found dead, and all of the stolen goods were missing. The only clue left behind was a cryptic note found at the scene. The note read, "Beware the ghosts of the past, for they will haunt you until the last. The treasures they steal, the lives they reveal. A thief is just a name, but in death they bring shame." Carpenter knew that this was no ordinary case. The Ghost had been on the police's radar for years, but had always managed to evade them. Now, with their sudden death, Carpenter knew she had to work fast to find the culprit before they struck again. As Carpenter arrived at the scene, she saw the lifeless body of the Ghost lying on the ground, surrounded by a number of police officers and forensic investigators. Their faces were grim, and Carpenter knew that this was going to be a difficult case to crack. The first thing Carpenter noticed was that there were no signs of a struggle. The Ghost had not been attacked and was found lying peacefully on the ground. It was almost as if they had simply fallen asleep and never woken up. The second thing that caught Carpenter's attention was the note. It was carefully placed on top of the Ghost's body, almost as if it had been left there intentionally. But what did it mean? Carpenter knew that there was more to this case than what met the eye. Over the next few days, Carpenter pored over the evidence, analysing every detail in hopes of uncovering the truth. But with so little to go on, she knew it was going to be a long and difficult process. Finally, after weeks of investigation, Carpenter discovered something significant. The Ghost's death had not been accidental. They had been poisoned with a deadly substance, one that could only be obtained by someone with specialised knowledge of chemistry. Carpenter realised that the Ghost had been targeted specifically, and that whoever was responsible had wanted to make sure that they would never speak about their crimes again. But who was the culprit? And why had they done it? Then, as Carpenter continued to sift through the evidence, she stumbled upon an important clue. A recent string of burglaries had been committed in the same area where the Ghost had died. The method of entry, the types of items stolen, and the absence of any physical evidence all pointed to the same thief. Carpenter knew that she was getting closer to finding the culprit, but there was still one piece of the puzzle missing: the cryptic note that had been left at the scene. As Carpenter pondered the note, she suddenly realised what it meant. The ghost of the past referred to the thief who had committed the recent burglaries. They had been stealing items that had deep sentimental value to their victims, and in doing so were bringing to surface painful memories from their past. But why had the ghost been targeted? Carpenter realised that it was because the ghost had been a threat to the thief's operation. With their expertise, the Ghost could have easily uncovered the thief's identity and put an end to their criminal activities. With this realization, Carpenter knew that the thief was still out there, and that they had to be stopped before they struck again. Armed with this knowledge, Carpenter and her team moved quickly, setting up a sting operation to catch the thief in the act. And they succeeded. In the early hours of the morning, they apprehended the culprit, a woman with a dark past who had turned to a life of crime to cope with her pain. As she was escorted away in handcuffs, the woman looked up at Carpenter and said, "I couldn't let anyone else steal what was already mine." The case of the Ghost's death had been solved, but Carpenter couldn't help but feel a sense of sadness for all of those whose lives had been affected by the thief's actions. As she walked away from the crime scene, she knew that justice had been served, but at a great cost.